Hello, my name is Seth Phillips. I'm one of the founders of Bound. And over the last couple of years, I've spoken to the founders and finance teams from hundreds of startups around the world. And so far, I have yet to speak to a single company that tries to hire international staff or tries to win international customers because they actively want to take a risk on certain currencies. Overwhelmingly, they just want to find great customers and hire great talent wherever they're based in the world. So pretty universally, these companies don't want exposure to exchange rates impacting their finances. However, the majority of them also aren't doing very much to manage that risk. And when I ask them how come they're not actively hedging and managing that currency risk, the most common response that I have heard is that currency hedging feels complicated and rigid. But the company's finances are more fluid, and the real world is just less predictable. So I'd love to show them what we've done with Bound to make hedging more simple and more flexible for the real world. So you can see what I've got on the screen here. I have got a hedging program using Bound's forwarding program. And let's say I'm a UK-based, GBP-based company, and I have about 100,000 US dollars of expenses every month going out for the next 8 or 9 months. So this is my hedging program. So let's say mistake number one or real world scenario number one, I didn't hedge enough. So I come in here, and for March, I was planning on $100,000. It's actually going to be 120,000. This is how easy it is to push that number up to the number that I really had when it comes down to it. Let's say in April, the opposite is true. I only needed 90,000. So what happens? I just kick that number back down and save that number. Let's say in May, I actually need the money earlier than I generally do towards the end of the month. I'm going to need the money at the beginning of the month. So I just grab that, I change the date selector and save that, and I move it around. Let's say now in June, I have a little bit more complicated one. I'm going to need some of my money at the beginning of the month and the rest here on the 20th. So in that use case, I can come here and I can just split off 25,000. And let's say I want that in the beginning of June. On the 7th. So I click that and save that. And what that does is that splits that in half. And now you can see I'll settle $25,000 in the beginning of June and $75,000 on the June 20th. So that's how easy it is to adjust a full sophisticated hedging program on the Bound app to the ebbs and flows of real world life in your business. The last scenario I'll bring up is the scariest one, which customers worry about the most, is what happens if come to October, I don't need this $100,000 at all. I was planning on $100,000 in US costs and I don't have any. Now, of course, what most people would do is they would cut that in pieces or they would push the settlement date out. They might use it in December or early in 2025 or something like that. But let's say, for example's sake, they really need to cancel it. What we can do here is you can come and cancel this. And you can see in this case, that's going to cost the customer about a little under £500. What we like to remind people of is in this circumstance is that if I had zero projection, if I had zero hedge in place, I'm 100% exposed to where the exchange rate might go. The only way I can be just as exposed is if I'm 100% wrong. And in that case, I'm no better or worse off really. I just had exposures going the other direction. So even in this case, by running this hedging program, I help the company make our cash flows more stable and predictable, overwhelmingly the majority of the time, eight of these 9 months or something like that. And even in the case where I was 100% wrong, I thought we needed $100,000, but I don't need any. That's really no more or less exposure than it would have been had I just had no hedge in place and the rate could have gone anywhere between now and October. So that's how to use the Bound app and how flexible it is to map it to the real world cash flows of your business. And that's how most of our customers do that. Thanks.